Thank you for coming for our session. We have here today with me Tessa Kloster, Group Product Manager for Messaging and Real-Time Analytics. And my name is Yitzhak Esselman. I'm leading Messaging and Real-Time Analytics at Microsoft. I've been working with data more than 20 years. You can see from the bit white hair here. And it was all along data from embedded with C on the edge to big data many years, even before the term was minted. And after that, with Power BI Mobile, Power BI Premium, and the Power BI service. And throughout all those years, working with data was very hard. And it was very hard because the large amounts of data. And to have the ability to analyze such amount of data, and more than that, to have the ability to look at a single record out of trillions of data points is very, very hard. And we are seeing this everywhere in the world around us. There is an explosion of high granularity data in motion. And this data comes from sensors, IoT devices, digital applications, business applications, customer signals, logs and more. And all this data being collected at high volume, at high granularity and high velocity across thousands of sources. And this is especially critical in the era of AI. As you heard from Arun, data is the fuel for AI. And we need to make sure that the data is in the right quality. And as we see this across all verticals, this data comes from multiple signals.
Okay. I know our platform is more than capable of handling things in milliseconds, but you went through that really quickly, so we could slow down. We have over 3.5 million milliseconds to spend with these people in this session. So let's give them a little bit more information.
Okay, let's do it. So we're seeing this data coming from multiple sources and from multiple vectors. And we are seeing our largest customers across multiple vectors leveraging this real-time data at high granularity with Fabric Real-Time Analytics. Fabric Real-Time Analytics allows easily and quickly ingest and reason over trillions of data points, over terabytes and petabytes of data. Takes, for example, the energy sector. Wind farm operators use real-time analytics to monitor their equipment and make sure that they extract the maximum efficiency from the wind turbines. Or take, for example, the automotive sector. There are multiple examples like automated fleet applications and manufacturing. Across all these, they use Fabric Real-Time Analytics.
And maybe we could see actually from here today, how many people are in the manufacturing sector? That's quite a few of you. Okay.
We have the right slides for you. So looking more in depth into manufacturing, there are multiple examples there that we can talk about. Like factory management, where we can look at a specific machine out of hundreds and thousands of machines across multiple factories and have the ability to act on a single event that happened to that machine. Or look at logistics and make sure that we have the right inventory and the right stock out of it. And this also allows us to help with quality control, to make sure that we get multiple data points across different personas in the organization. They want to track the quality of the product being manufactured. And they want to make sure that they collect this data from multiple sources across real-time and batch data. They have the ability to combine those together across multiple personas in the organizations, like the data engineer, the business users, the data scientist, and extract the right amount of insights out of this data. And all this available with Fabric Real-Time Analytics. What is Fabric Real-Time Analytics? Fabric Real-Time Analytics is an end-to-end, easy-to-use SaaS experience that works especially for streaming and high granularity data. It's built upon proven technologies like Azure Messaging, Stream Analytics, and Azure Data Explorer. And combined with the scale and reliability of Microsoft Azure, it operates at a massive scale, ingesting and processing trillions of individual signals at low latency, and automate insights into actions. So if you look at the scale of the data that we are talking here about, there are more than 20 exabytes of data, more than 10 trillions of records being ingested and processed in a month. And to make this data more clear and more physical to us, we can take an example, convert this data into books. So a gigabyte is approximately 20 meters of shelf books. So therefore, 20 exabytes of data would be equivalent to 20 trillion gigabytes. If we multiply this by books, of shelf books, we'll get more than 400 billion books. To convert it to books, it's 2.2 trillion books, which is more than 400 trillion of meters. And this is the more than 2.5 times this distance from here to the sun. And this is the amount of data that Microsoft is able to ingest and process and analyze.
It's crazy.
So let's talk a bit more about what we have under the hood with Fabric Real-Time Analytics. So under the hood, Fabric Real-Time Analytics minimizes the friction and simplifies your real-time solution. Our goal is that everyone in your business can use the power of this data and to be able to ingest the data, to analyze the data, and to act on this data, and in a timely manner. And we'll show here a few demos throughout the presentation that allows you to see how quickly it is and how friendly it is that everyone in the organization, depends on different personas that you have, a business users, a data engineer, a data analyst, all of them can work together on one solution to reason and act on this amount of data. I would like to use a real story, a real public story of one of our examples that using Fabric Real-Time Analytics in production. The customer name is 1NZ, which is a Vodafone subsidiary in New Zealand, the largest telecom company. And they moved from a POC to a production solution within 2 weeks. Within 2 weeks from starting a POC, they moved to a production solution. And the impact of their business was they were able to slash the amount of their support calls from more than 45 seconds to less than 27 seconds. It's all public. You can find it on the Microsoft Customer Story website. And think what you can do with this data in your organization, how you can use the power of Fabric Real-Time Analytics to really move your business forward, and how you can take this as an advantage for you, for your team, and your organization. That's it,
Yeah, thank you. I think the 1NZ story especially, as Yitzhak was saying, going into production in 2 weeks for something as what we traditionally believe as complex as a real-time solution is amazing and powerful, but also tells us a lot more about what we're able to do with Fabric Real-Time Analytics. So we're going to take those same components that Yitzhak walked through before in the little flow chart as far as ingest and process, analyzing and acting, and I'm going to break it down into 3 sets of demos with a little bonus demo in there if we can fit everything together to really show you how each of these pillars work, and then we're going to kind of wrap up to give another example of an end-to-end solution that's specific to a certain industry. Okay, so for the first pillar, we talk about ingesting and processing. So this is where we leverage the event stream item. And so event stream, as Yitzhak was saying, is one of the components that's built on top of Azure messaging and also leverages stream analytics. So there's a variety of streaming sources that are included today, and also an area where we improve and add all the time. And so, for example, you have AMQP, you have Kafka, and of course, Azure Event Hubs directly integrated. And again, I'll show you in the demo a bit more. It's also a fully no-code experience, and you'll see that as a pattern, actually, as we talk about all of these different pieces. You can do some of these really advanced and complex capabilities, or traditionally advanced and complex, but all in a no-code editor, which really makes it more approachable for other personas beyond our data engineers. And last but not least, this capability also has rich event routing to other Fabric entities like Event House and Reflex. And as part of that, that's where you'll also see some of the processing capabilities that we have as well.
And you can also use this to route the data outside Fabric. Again, Fabric is an open ecosystem. You can use Event Stream to take this data. Outside Fabric, it's your data, and you can act on it outside Fabric as well.
So lots of options as far as bringing it in and then also bringing it back out. So bringing it in to Fabric and some of the capabilities that you can leverage Event House to analyze the data that we bring in. And Event House, if you haven't seen all the exciting announcements, Event House is one of our most recent ones, and I'll show it live in a few minutes as well. And so Event House is expanding and simplifying some of the experiences around KQL databases and query sets. It's a time series database with unlimited scale, and we'll show some of our bigger examples as well. And it provides real-time transformation on top of this complicated data structures, all with high performance and very low latency. So a really powerful central pillar as far as the Fabric real-time analytics components. And one of the many engines in Fabric you heard Amir talk about during the keynote today as well. And to kind of complete the flow, so I have the data in, I've been able to understand it and process it a bit more, and now we ultimately want to take action on it. That's why this data is important. It's not just about having it there in a specific shape, it's actually about taking action and having our business benefit from it. So for action, we look at Data Activator and our Reflex item, and this allows you to take actions automatically when there's patterns or conditions detected. And again, I will show in the last demo that we'll go through just how quick and easy this is and how friendly of an experience it is to set up a very complex capability. So this supports changing data at scale and in a timely manner, so it's both very large, high volume, high granularity data as we're talking about today, but it can really quickly react to these changes as you've specified and take a specific action. It can take an action such as sending an email or sending a message, or also with the integration of Power Automate can leverage 300 plus integrations to take actions in external systems as well. And as part of this, there's also a very lightweight semantic modeling capability for real-time data, and that allows the users, and again, the business users, to bring their knowledge of the actual data and the operations directly onto this real-time and streaming data in order to take some of the most important actions and configurations for a business and an organization. Okay, so we'll switch into demo mode, and if everyone can, say a quick hope prayer to the demo gods, that would be appreciated, because we're going to aim to do this all in real time, because that's what we're about today is real-time data.
I thought the data is real time, not the demos.
Yeah, apparently we're doing both. Okay, I'm just going to switch quickly into the right screen. Okay, so we're in Microsoft Fabric. Hopefully everyone's familiar with this. Everyone sees something familiar, and if you also want to play around and follow real-time, you're welcome to. Real-time analytics is one of those things that we found people maybe have heard of, but are scared of for some reason. But we're here to show you that it's very straightforward and approachable and can be super powerful for you and other customers. So when we talk about real-time analytics, as Yitzhak mentioned, of course there's the actual real-time analytics workload. We also leverage Data Activator in that piece of actually taking action in the workflow. So you'll see me kind of go back and forth between these two. But we're going to start in the real-time analytics workload. And you can see here the different items that we talked about. So event stream is that front door to connecting, to capturing, transferring, and ingesting the streaming and event data, and ultimately routing it to the other components. Also mentioned Event House, of course, which will show the KQL database and the query set. But using Event Stream as the starting point, we're going to create a new one. And for this scenario, I'm going to focus on a delivery data set. Originally, I was going to do something around March Madness, but unfortunately, my team is out of the competition, so we're going to switch over to something a little bit more, I guess, realistic. Okay, so delivery event stream, I'm going to have my very creative name, and now it's going to go create that event stream component for me. So what's loading right now is the editor experience that we have. And as this comes in, again, you can see we're anchored into this real-time analytics experience. I have my, of course, our typical Fabric side pane. So I have the workspaces, and then the multitasking items is going to start showing up on the side as well. So whenever I think about an event stream, we think about the sources and the destinations for this particular step. And you can have multiple sources coming into the event stream, and then multiple destinations that we want to route to. So in this case, I'll start with the source. And one of the things, again, if you want to try this real time, you want to try and follow along, you can even leverage some of the sample data that we have directly in the system. This will show you what it would be like once you hook up your existing streaming or event data, but you can actually build full solution, leverage Event House, leverage Reflex, and see some of the capabilities directly with really powerful sample data.
And despite all my requests, Tessa decided to do a live demo, so it's not recorded. So this is the live experience in the product. So somebody is brave here today.
Yes, don't worry, we have backups if it gets to that, but we're trying to do it real time, of course. So besides sample data, and that's just one place to get started, you can really easily connect to existing Azure Event Hubs, Azure IoT Hubs, and even if there's a custom app. So in this case, I'm actually going to leverage custom app, and I'm just going to create a delivery source. You're going to also laugh that I don't know how to spell, so if I pause, that's why. I'm trying to catch myself before I make a typo. So now it's created a custom app source, and really what this is an endpoint for my system to go publish to. So you can see here, if I want to use Event Hubs, I have the information, I have sample code, or again, we have the other capabilities as well. I'm just going to really quickly copy, this is how you know it's live, copy the sample code and switch over to VS Code where I can actually grab the information here. So copying it live, real time, I'm just going to use a little program that we have to send data directly to this endpoint using a CSV file. Okay, so I specify some of the information, and then now I am going to run it. And if I switch back, what is happening now is my little program simulating, of course, a sensor or some kind of streaming or eventing data. Quick plug, if you're around for the Power Hour on Wednesday, you'll also see a really fun way to simulate some of this data as well. So please come join us on Wednesday for the Power Hour. Real-time analytics. So as this is going, I can see my source data, again, is set up. If I click my event stream, I can actually start to see some of the data coming in this data preview tab, and it will also have data insights and some additional information. So this is where the power of the Wi-Fi and the service and me talking long enough for some data to show up will keep continuing. But this is super powerful to have the preview directly in our editing experience so that I know, oh, there you go. Do I get it? It's real? Or you believe me? Okay, yeah, there we go. So this is why I wanted to do it real time, because you actually see when the data was refreshed, the last event time, that type of thing. And as this data keeps going in, because the program's still running, it'll keep updating in the system as well. And so having the preview, as I was saying, directly in the authoring experience is just so powerful because I actually know what's coming in. I can validate it here, again, in real time. I hope someone's counting how many times we say real time because there's a prize at the end for that. And I can do even more. So pretty straightforward. I just brought in one source into the event stream. Again, this is just putting out some individual messages and events, but you can get much more complicated, of course, and add in more data sources and really combine to bring in the streaming data directly into Fabric, or as Yitzhak said, route it outside of Fabric again as well. So now that I have the data in, let's add a destination. And of course, since we're talking about real-time analytics, I'm going to use the KQL database and event house capabilities. And so when I choose that, and maybe flipping back really quickly, there's some other options, of course. I could use, again, a custom app to help route it outwards. I can go directly into Lakehouse if that's where I want to leverage my data. Again, all the benefits of Event House and KQL database, as I mentioned, a curated time series database is very powerful for this type of data, and that's why we're going to use it now. And then last but not least, can leverage Reflex and Data Activator to take an action, which I'll show in a minute. So now that we chose the KQL database, there's a couple modes. You can directly ingest it. If I just want to take event, go from here directly into KQL. This is the right option. We also have an option for event processing. So either way, I need to set a destination name. We're going to call this, this is connecting to my shipping KQL DB, and so I'll just name it there. The workspace that I want to do, and because these are all items in Fabric, I leverage the workspace concept, which is both the categorization, the permissions model, everything, the capacity models. And so you'll see each of these items ask for the workspace to just ensure you have that full control. And I'm really excited for the folder capability in the workspace when that comes as well. So I've chosen a workspace. I did already create a KQL database, but there's actually no tables in it. So this was just to kind of save a step to show that it's one of the options. And now instead of choosing a table, because there's no table so far, I'm going to choose to create a new. And we're just going to call this delivery tracking table. And just like that, again, I can choose to stop here. We can go directly to just adding this as a destination. But as I mentioned, we actually want to use the event processing capabilities. And the button was cut off a little bit there, but as part of the experience, I can actually open the event processing editor. And now I'm taken into a similar experience, but with a few other capabilities. And of course, besides the little program that I have to actually emit the events, I haven't written any code yet. Everything has been all through this UI experience, making it much more possible. Even a product manager can do this. So we have here a wide set of operations, and what this allows users to do is to take that event and the streaming data that's coming in and modify it, whether it's filters or aggregations, whatever it might be. In this case, I'm actually just going to do a very basic field management step. And so if I bring down here, I can do straightforward example. I'm prompted to add a new field, and so I can either browse or search for a particular field. Package ID is an example that I know is there. I can change the type or keep it as is, customize the name, and all this experience is to ensure no matter what the data was in the source that was emitting it, when I get it into my KQL database or wherever I want to route it, it's in the right shape for the subsequent steps that I want. So I can add my fields individually. I can also just add all of the fields together, and then I can do things like remove specific fields. So there's a few additional fields that were added as part of the processing, but ultimately I don't need that in my database, so I'll just remove them here. And then I'll hit done. And again, I have the three pieces. I have the actual event stream. I have the processing that I want to do. I can add more as well, processing steps if I want to kind of keep chaining up these pieces. And then I have the destination. And with that, I can just hit done, and that will bring back the experience of adding the destination. I hit save, and then this full editor is going to update. So, and again, I didn't exactly time myself, but in just a few sets of clicks, I was able to connect to real data, bring it into my event stream, and then ultimately choose where I want to route it to and do some processing along the way. So that's it for the first demo, and I will switch back over to our slides. Yeah, please.
All of the above. So it supports Kafka. It supports, you can connect from Event Hub as a custom application, MQP, and others. And we are adding more sources for this. So
I picked the Event Hub
option.
Option, destination that I published to. And again, it's just a little script that's taking from a file, but yeah, it was going to an Event Hub, yeah. The question is, do we support diversity in schema if the same stream has different schemas? Is that what you said?
Not yet, but we're working on it. Yes, so we'll get to it in the second. Yeah, that was the second part of the.
On Event House, yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to, but Event House ultimately can go to Lake House as well.
So you can save it directly from an event stream to the Lakehouse if you want just to bring streaming data and use, let's say, Lakehouse analytics on top of it. But if you want to kind of unleash the power of the high granularity data to have analytics on petabytes of data, then the proper engine is Event House. And you can bring this data to Event House, but seamlessly this data will eventually also will flow to OneLake. So you will still have all this data in your system, and we'll show in the demo how it works.
The button.
Yeah,
Yes.
we'll definitely will have time at the end, I hope.
Yeah. So two things. So one, the question that we were just answering was kind of the relationship between this data and Event House and Lake House and everything. So as we said, we'll kind of touch on it. And then, yes, if you have questions now, please feel free, but we'll also have time at the end as well. So whichever one is working for you. So switching back to the slides quickly. So to recap, we were just in the Ingestion process. And so I think one of the questions actually was, what was the source, right? And so again, we support a variety of sources. You saw the no-code experiences, multiple stages, whether it was the initial authoring, or the event processing, or connecting the whole thing end to end. And then, of course, being able to route it to a wide variety. So just a sample, again, maybe it was only a quick 5 or 8 minute demo sample of some of the capabilities, but hopefully gives you an idea of what could work in your scenarios. So the next one that we're going to go in is into the analyze space. And as we said, the Event House capabilities is really focused for the time series data. It does have direct connections with OneLake and Lakehouse, and so it's not isolated from the rest of your environment, but it is kind of very much curated for dealing with this and querying and understanding this type of data. And again, another connection, if you did watch the keynote this morning and the new task flows that are coming up, that sample task flow that they used with the Lambda architecture actually integrated Event House directly into that flow as well. Okay, so I will switch back over, back into our environment. Yep, we should be ready. Usually we have a few different other screens. Okay, perfect. So I'm back in the same one. Nothing has changed except time. So I think when we left this view, the KQL database was still spinning up, but now it's actually, you can see the status is ingesting. Same in this experience, and I'm actually going to switch over to opening the item, but if I didn't want to, if I just wanted to peek and see if things are happening, I can see the same data preview, data insights, and some additional capabilities like the runtime logs directly from this experience with my event stream as well. But because we have a whole bunch more capabilities that we want to show, I'm actually going to go and open up the Event House and specifically the KQL database within that Event House. And so you can see here, as data's coming in, it's very small. This is a scenario around delivery tracking, but
a baby Event House.
A baby Event House, exactly. And as you'll see in a moment, we can get much, much bigger, older, larger Event Houses as well. But this is just a tiny one, and as the data comes in, you'll actually see the different updates. So proving that this is still live and that the data is still kind of coming in. So from this experience, there's so much that I can do. So again, we have the KQL database. We already have a table that's already in this experience. Before I get into that particular table, though, I can actually show some other pieces. I can add new items. I can add a new table, materialize view, any of these different pieces. I can get more data to come in directly into my Event House and KQL database. So there's some things that I can do kind of on the outside. But then if I look as well at this particular table, there's a number of different actions, whether I can query the table. It makes it super easy to start querying the table, and I'll get to that more in a moment. You'll see also there's a SQL option, so besides using the KQL language, you can also use SQL. We can build Power BI report, and we can just understand a bit more about the table itself, the different schema, the size, all of that capability. So lots built in right from this experience. So what I'm going to do though is I'm going to use the quick querying capabilities and just show how very quickly from that experience it can take me into a query editor and run a query. So technically at this point we're getting into code, but so far I've done it all through clicks, right? So I haven't actually had to type out or write anything myself. I've actually just been able to interact with the UI to get the information that I want. It can go even further. For example, I can add, so if I see my data preview here, I can use the experience to add a particular filter and then just keep running it. Now it's going to not give me the data that I want, which is how you know, again, that this is real. But I'll go back into this one just to show the other pieces that I have. And you can start seeing, again, the stats about the actual query and an official incident. So I think we should do a quick clap for a real demo. No one else is feeling my pain? Okay, thank you, thank you. This is where my boss is sitting next to me saying, I told you so. I told you so. I told you so. There's so much more you can do with the different capabilities. Again, we'll try it one more time as far as querying. And actually, I probably should have showed the SQL option just to show that you can do so many other things. But really, there's all of this, and someone's going to tell me that this is why I'm, okay, there we go. So now we can interact with it, again, building up a query. You can see also there's so much information about KQL reference guide. Each of these queries, it helps explain, so it's teaching me as we go. And even from this experience, I can build a Power BI report as well.
You heard about Power BI?
Yeah, has anyone used that before? Power BI, maybe? Yeah, okay, couple people? Yeah, okay. And again, since this is a very, very basic set, you know, I don't need to explain to you exactly, you know, how Power BI goes, but all of the capabilities, you can see it brought the query result directly into this report building experience. And so very quickly, it can help me actually build out whatever I want to do as far as a visualization. And I'm realizing that, again, that I did this real time because I made it a very small query. Nothing's actually going to show up. But usually all of the different pieces would go here, and you can choose everything, build out the report that you want, and then very quickly publish it to your consumers. And so, again, if I can recap, right, we connected to the data, built the event stream, brought it into KQL, still no code. In a couple clicks, build a Power BI report, and then I'm already where I can share insights with my coworkers, with my business users, whatever it might be. So really just making it much easier and more approachable. And this is how customers like 1NZ get into production in just 2 weeks.
So how do you automate that? Is that like trigger events if you want to automate this configuration?
So this can be automated as APIs with like CI/CD.
Can you repeat the question? Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. So how we can automate this creation of this pipeline? So you can automate it using the CI/CD capabilities and the APIs that we have. The items here, most of them support APIs and CI/CD integration, so you can create a full API-driven code that you don't need like to manage it by yourself. So you can automate this, and it will have different staging environments, branches, as you've seen today in the keynote demo. You can do it on every item. You can do it on the event stream level. You can do it on the KQL database level. You can do it on the reflex item. So each item in real-time analytics supports API and CI/CD integration.
Yeah. You're gonna have to, maybe, can you come closer maybe? I can't, sorry. The question is this a lakehouse or a data warehouse? Where is the data stored? The data that we were just walking through, that last component is called an event house. It's a KQL database. It's a storage focused on time series.
Yeah. So what I've seen is, again, as Amir was showing in the keynote demo, everything is stored in one lake, and you have multiple engines that are optimized to work on different types of data, like Lakehouse. On one lake data, you have DW, data warehouse that optimized for star schemas, etc. Event House is an optimized engine to work on high granularity data with time series stamps on it. So this is an optimized engine that can run on this data and get you insights and action on a single row of data that you want versus, let's say, aggregated scenarios that use data warehouse, for example, of it.
And actually, I'll show the next, and I will switch to one video to show a very large, just to give some experience that might help answer the questions more. So just I pulled up the kind of flow because I think some questions, just to kind of double click on the storage piece that we were just showing and then the relationship with OneLake. So again, as Yitzhak was saying, the Event House is a highly capable and tuned both engine and storage system specifically for time series data, high volume, high granularity. Of course, we're very connected across with OneLake, and so ultimately the data will still land where you want it so that it works for the rest of the Fabric workloads as well for operations that might not be as time sensitive, right? You want to do some historical analysis or aggregations, but really where you want to do things to be able to act on particular records and really understand this real-time data. This is where the Event House and Query Set, and then I'll close out with the Reflex and Act to kind of wrap it all up in just a moment. But I did want to show, because again, real-time wasn't going to try to load, what is this? Hundreds of gigabytes directly into, okay, so this is terabytes of data, into our system. So quick recorded video to just show a very large Event House and KQL database as an example of some of the capabilities. The numbers that Yitzhak was talking about scale-wise are amazing, and this is an example of how this works. So you can see here, this particular KQL database, the original size is 110 terabytes, this database. The compression is down to 18.9 terabytes, but it's still very large. And I went ahead a little bit quickly, but you can see all of the capabilities that I showed on that little tiny baby Event House and KQL database is also available to this very, very large piece. And so if I open and jump ahead a little bit, what it's going to show is some of the querying capabilities that we can do over top of something like this. And this is where you still, despite the size, despite the complexity, you have a very powerful querying engine on top of it. And so since I reset the video, I'll also show, again, all the new, you can add additional tables, you can add get data, build in those related items, even though this is a very, very large data set. And so again, using the querying capabilities, whether it's through KQL or through SQL, I can open the Power BI report. I'm gonna open a query set, which is how you save the different queries, experiences, and just run an example to get a feel for it. So in this case, it's gonna just run take 100, so you can just see the records that are in this large data set. And there's many other things. You can even go down to a particular request ID if you want. Now this is where it gets interesting.
What happens if I don't know how to write KQL?
This is where we have our friend Copilot can come in and help everything out. So very excited to kind of sneak peek of the Copilot capabilities. And what this allows, exactly as you heard Patrick say this morning, this really empowers users who, and upskills them, who might not know how to write queries, but know what they want. So in this case, how many rows are in the table? Very straightforward. Leveraging Copilot in this preview capability, it is doing that kind of round trip out to OpenAI and ultimately translate it into KQL for me. And it explains what it was doing, and it runs, and in this particular case, what is that? 400 million records in this giant table. But that was a basic one. It can do much more. So you can start talking and asking different questions, leveraging Copilot. You can do things like, of course, we talk about rows or records or whatever the semantics might be. At this point, you're familiar with the capabilities and the power of Copilot, but actually, as Patrick was seeing it real, this is me playing around earlier today to see the different kind of queries it can generate and how also it can teach me KQL real time. And so, for example, I just said I was looking for the most recent record for a specific field. So there's a component field I wanted to equal eventing. And really, just by asking this question, it generated the right thing, top one, by timestamp, super powerful. So I want to go even further. Okay, so I don't want the whole record, I just want a particular column. If I want to understand the message field for this item, And let's see if it's going to do some different items. Let me maybe jump ahead. And there's a more I told you so coming. It can build even more and more complex. It can start showing you the different pieces, whether it's having projections or aggregations. The power of Copilot, of course, is really impressive. The one thing it couldn't do for me, though, was start to tell me why KQL is the best. So that is one thing. If you go to Bing Copilot and ask, in fact, actually I would ask everyone here, if you go type in why is KQL the best, you'll see a number of great reasons why KQL is awesome. But even beyond that, with our new kind of Copilot integrations and event house and query sets, it really makes it powerful. Okay, we're gonna go, and last but not least, wanna make sure we save some time for questions. We're gonna show the acting side of things in Data Activator. So this is my last switch right over to the actual product. And then we will stay in slides for the rest of the time and then open up for questions. It's probably not what I wanted to do. Okay. So I'm going back into the product, back to the little tiny KQL database we were building. If I use the multitasking options on the left-hand side, I'm gonna go back to the event stream where we all started from. And here I'm going to add a new destination. So of course we already had the KQL database. Now I'm going to add a reflex. And again, in this environment, I don't have anything yet, so we're gonna create one. Call the destination, let's say delivery tracking. Put it into the same workspace, and we want to create a new reflex called deliveries. And again, this is one word I can't spell. So now I'm going to add that as a destination, and just as simple as it was to create a new KQL database, and actually even simpler because we didn't do any event processing in this particular case, it's going to add a new destination and load it into my editing experience. And just the same as before, I can open the item directly from here. Now this is gonna bring us into Data Activator. Data Activator is in public preview. Quick show of hands, who's tried out Data Activator? Oh, there's more than just you, I'm sure. Okay, 2, there we go. I know a few others. If you haven't tried it yet, we definitely recommend it. It's in public preview, available now. And what this does is lets you understand the data and actually act on it. So as I mentioned, it's great to have this data available and in the right shape. You can do the query and analysis, but ultimately you want to improve your business and take action. So you can see here, it's hooked up to the same street and the same stream, and the green items as it comes in is actually new data flowing in to the system. So it's telling me this is working and my little program is still running. I'm going to create a new object called delivery. I am going to provide a key and assign particular properties. And so why this is important is because I know when I'm looking at this data that this is representing a package delivery, but the system doesn't know and other users might not know. And so I'm adding this ultimately is modeling, but some very lightweight semantic modeling on top of the data as it comes in. So I'm going to choose a couple pieces maybe that's interesting, status as well, and save. And just like that, I've created a new object. And it's with this object I can start doing things. Okay, what's happening to the object? What's interesting? Why do I care? And why should people in my organization take notice? And so in this case, for my action and my object with delivery, I want to take an action, especially when a delivery is failed. So I'm going to create a new trigger. I'm going to use the experience. And again, we're in our 4th, 5th part of the demo and still minimal code, if no code at all. So I'm going to do this. Delivery failure is the specific trigger. I'm going to choose a property when the status. And what type of detection? This is really where the power of Data Activator and Reflex comes in. I can choose a numeric detection, whether it's greater than or less than or changes by a certain amount, comes into a range, exits a range, logical, true or false, or changes from or to something. So I'm going to say if this changes to failed each time. And now it's going to start looking for data. again, because we're talking typically about high volume, high granularity, real-time data, there's a sampling that's going on, and so you can see it gives me some information about what's being sampled. And so just to ensure, and actually I'll finish out the action, I'm gonna send an email. So when this is detected for failed package delivery, it's gonna send me a email, and I can provide some specific information about that failure, whether it's the delivery method, the status, the timestamp, and this also, whoever gets the notification has the information that they want.
Can you do more than just an email?
You can do more than just an email. So directly from this experience, you can also create a Teams message, and again, you can send this to whatever audience. We have also a rich integration with Power Automate, and so for anyone who's used Power Automate, there are hundreds of connectors within Power Automate that let you do thousands of different actions, and so integrating a custom action really means anything I can do from this integration in Power Automate is possible now to my real-time data. Okay, so just let me save this particular piece. You can also send a test alert. You can actually start the trigger. And so what's happening right now, it's looking for data, and so far there's no data that's coming in that's failed. I have a separate data set, so I'm actually just going to kill my current item and run the failure, the one that has some failures in it. Much smaller data set, but now literally from the time that I saved and ran it again and came back, there's already a new value that is meeting this condition. So there's something that's triggered, which means, again, if I open my email, I would have that same notification that there's actually a failed package, and now my system can respond to that action and continue more, follow up with the individual that is expecting a failed package. Maybe I need to reroute it. Maybe I need to double click into some query analysis. This detection and ability to act immediately from Data Activator and across the whole real-time analytics solution is what becomes super powerful.
And this allows you basically to take something that would take humans to monitor, but scale it to trillions, millions of actions. You can run fraud detection, logistics, manufacturing, and others. There are multiple examples. There are some even cool demos by our partners in the expo booth. So I recommend you to go and look there. There are really cool demos, like how practical, real solutions that use those components in real life. So.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. The possibilities are endless. In this case, I showed just a very small end-to-end piece, mostly to show you all the rest of the ingredients, if you will, but how you bring it together into a solution is really what becomes powerful. This just makes it easier. In all of this time of demo, wrote very little or no code, and yet I have a full end-to-end solution. So with that, and I think because we want to make sure that we have some particular time for questions and everything, we'll move back over to the slides, and we'll just wrap up with a couple other pieces as well. And I think we can get up now if we want to stretch our legs a little bit. Okay, so the last item that we went through, as far as the actions, you saw how it could take an action automatically, in that case, sending an email. Even the creation of the condition, right? Detect when this is a field, a value, when it's failed. For the system, it is super straightforward. For me as a business user, extremely powerful. I was notified as my packages were, package deliveries failed, without having to kind of post-process and try to catch up later. So literally completes the full real-time analytics solution. And as an example, I know we were talking again about manufacturing. And so again, I'm glad to see many of you in this space and in this session. Hopefully this is resonating. A great example we have is around connected factories. And these are real customer examples that we've worked very closely with to understand how they leverage it, and then ultimately map it into what this would look like in Fabric. And so if you are in this space, if you've leveraged these type of systems and sources before, you know usually this is a full kind of spaghetti slide, right? The architecture is very complicated. You have many different components routing forward and backward. The failure points, there's so many. But when we bring it back into Fabric, we end up with those few steps that we have. We have the ingestion step. And so in this case, you can see leveraging event streams for things like the IoT data, but also you can leverage batch and reference data as well. And so having things like data pipelines integrated into the system to pull in things like your ERP system and ERP data. Then we have the transform and process and analyze and even enrich in this particular case. And so leveraging all the power of Event House and then ultimately the power of OneLake. And so you can see in this flow, it actually lands data into OneLake, also leverages ML models to kind of train and enrich that data and then bring it back into OneLake and back into Event House. So very quickly empowering that real-time solution with additional reference data as well.
And the simplicity here, that what allows customers to build such powerful, scalable solutions in a matter of like hours, days, or weeks, instead of months and quarters and semesters. So that's the power of real-time analytics and Fabric.
Yeah, and exactly, and all of this can be done so quickly. And the last piece, just to kind of visualize and activate on the different pieces, whether it's Data Activator, as you saw, whether it's Power BI, touched on really quickly, being able to hook that up through Event House. There's also real-time dashboarding capabilities that I didn't even go into. So once you have this system that very quickly, very easy to set up and configure, the possibilities of leveraging and integrating it into your business and your operations are super powerful. So just to anchor again, we're in Fabric. This is a Fabric conference. Everyone remembers that. We're specifically talking about real-time analytics and Data Activator. They're available today. Real-time analytics is GA, generally available. We are updating every week, as Arun said. Data Activator is in public preview, but also we're looking for feedback across all of the different items. aka.ms/real-time analytics will take you there to try it out. And this is just one of many sessions related to real-time analytics at Fabric Conference. You are here at Comprehensive Journey through Real-Time Analytics. I put this slide actually for myself because someone asked me which session we're at, and it's a good reminder where we're at. But right after this, we have a meet and greet actually with our whole product team. So if you come over to the community lounge, all of the different real-time analytics and Data Activator speakers are here. We've flown in from around the world, very excited to talk to you. And yeah, see, I just saw some even flag themselves down if you want to say hi directly in the audience. If you have more questions, we'll take some in a moment, but if you have more questions, just come on up to the community lounge. I also hear there might be snacks and food, so highly recommend come joining us.
And free swags.
And some swag, so much motivation, and then many more sessions Wednesday, Thursday, and a full day workshop on Friday. Hopefully some of you have already registered. We're really excited to show you what's there. So thank you, and we'll take questions now.